It's Di from Being Mommy with Style, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Walt Disney World resorts that we have stayed at in the past, what we think about the resorts that we stayed at most recently, and what I am thinking for the future. So first of all, we have a family of 4, and my older daughter was 7 on this past trip. My younger daughter was 5. So we can fit into a regular standard room, no problem. We don't need the extra space of like a, family suite and that sort of thing at this point because there's only the 4 of us. And we have been trying to try out as many of the resorts as possible. So it's kind of my long-term goal to stay at as many of the different resorts on our different trips as possible. We generally go at least twice a year, but sometimes those are trips where the booking is out of my control. So what I mean by that is like we are going to Disney Social Media Moms in February, and so the resorts that we'll stay at will be picked by Disney. So there may be some doubles then because of that, but that's fine because usually it ends up being one of the ones that we have stayed at and really liked before. So I have a little list of the different values and moderates. At this point, we have stayed at all values and moderates as a family. I did stay at the Yacht Club when I went in 2015 for the All-Star Creators Conference, and that was a really gorgeous resort. I think when we stay in that area, I'll probably lean towards the Beach Club with our family first, but that was a really fun, like convenient area to stay in. So first of all, let me give you a rundown of which resorts we have stayed in. So out of the value resorts, we have stayed at All-Star Movies. We have stayed at All-Star Music, which we just stayed one night on this past trip just to kind of get a sense of it, and Art of Animation. So the 2 we have not stayed at are All-Star Sports and Pop Century. So the reason why I chose the order that I did is we are really into characters and like the animation idea at our house, and my kids are just kind of really into the characters above everything else. We're not a huge sports family, so I think the sports would be fun to stay in and maybe something that I use as a fill-in just to kind of check it off the list. And I think it'd be fun for them to run around like on the field and all that. But as far as like us being diehard sports fans, we're really not, so that's kind of why we started with movies first and then music. Out of the All-Star Resorts, I would say just based on theming, movies is our favorite. We really like, the big characters. We're just really into characters right now. With the kids the ages that they are, 5 and 7, and kind of that early grade school age, the character theming works out really, really well for us. So when we came back from Disney Cruise Line, when we were there about 6 months ago, we were dropping off people at Art of Animation. It was the first time I've literally ever seen the kids have this reaction to the theming of a resort. They were literally up out of their seats, like hanging over the window and like super interested in checking everything out. And at that point I went, aha, we should really probably consider this one above like other ones because we're right in the zone. Both my girls really, really love Ariel, and it's just, they love drawing. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So I had a trip booked for a bounce back, and then if you've been following my channel, we moved, and so we ended up having to move that trip off of those dates, and then the dates that we moved it to, the bounce back wasn't applicable. It was blacked out for that time period. So I basically had to start a trip from scratch at that point, and I went, let's go stay at Art of Animation. I think that's the one. So we booked at Art of Animation on this last trip, and it's one to check it off the list that now we've stayed on it, but we would absolutely stay there again. So we literally bought Art of Animation gear that we loved it so much. So it's just a really, really great fit for our family. We love the range of characters there. My kids are really into Ariel, Lion King, Nemo, Cars. I mean, they're just really into all the characters there. The theming was adorable. We love the big blue pool, and it was nice that the inns had their own pools as well. The Little Mermaid rooms were a little far from the main area, so as much as we really love the resort and really, really love staying in the Little Mermaid rooms, the kids loved the shower. I think that was their favorite part. So it like opened up and like looked like a grotto, and everything was perfectly mermaid themes. There was like little clamshell beds, and the floor even looked like coral. It's really cool. So as much as we enjoyed that, I think if we book at Art of Animation again, if nothing else changes, we'll probably end up more down in the Nemo or the Cars area. Now, those rooms are a little bit bigger than our family needs, But if we're just really wanting to stay at Art of Animation for the extra things they have, like the drawing classes and just generally the atmosphere, then that's probably what we would gravitate towards next time. That being said, if you have a child that really loves Little Mermaid, it was worth doing once. So the walk, it's really abstract because this is the question that everyone has. You hear these reviews and people are like, the walk is really far. The walk was really far. It didn't feel as far on days like 1 through 3. But like days like 5 and 6, it was, you know, it's feeling longer and longer because your feet are tired, everyone's more tired, and it's doable. But I was definitely glad that this was a trip we had our car, because the main area at Art of Animation is where the food is. It's right by the main pool, and also that's where all the buses are. So if you're staying down in the Little Mermaid section, you basically have to walk through this side of the Nemo section, walk through all of the Lion King section, and then go down into the Little Mermaid section. So it's doable, but to catch a bus, you have to go through all those different sections. Now, if you're going to the front and you're planning on eating breakfast or that sort of thing, you know, you can kind of make a trip out of it, and you just have to make sure to build up enough time. So that was the thing that I think that we kind of neglected to do a few mornings when we had breakfast reservations, was literally build in like 10 to 15 minutes to walk from the Little Mermaid section to the main building, because my kids meander and they stop to look at leaves, and you know, so it took us a little while. But other than that, that was really my only, like, kind of in the pros and cons list for staying at resorts, that was the only con for us. We love the rooms, we love the themes, we love the main portion of the resort. The Little Mermaid rooms were a little bit of a distance. Now, they are building the Skyliner. I don't know right now off the top of my head what the date of the completion of that is, but that could be a game changer. If the entrance exit to that ends up being more down towards that end, then you would have direct access to get other places and not have to go all the way to the front for the buses. Then it kind of helps outweigh the distance to the front. All the food and everything is still going to be over there. But it's a really interesting resort. So that being said, we love the pool. We thought the food court was really good. Probably one of the best food courts we've had out of all the food courts, and that includes the moderates that we've stayed at, which I'll talk about in just a minute. We have stayed at Coronado Springs, Port Orleans, Riverside, and Caribbean Beach. And Landscape of Flavors may actually be our favorite food court out of all of the different ones we've stayed at. As far as the values, it was definitely our favorite food court. I think the All-Star Resorts, I have a good sense of what they have to offer, and All-Star Resorts are perfect for when you're going to Disney and you're doing the theme parks and you just basically need a place to sleep. They're really cutely themed and they've got those extra Disney touches, but for us, they are, you know, basically our room that we're coming back in to sleep at night, and then you're going out and you're being in the park like basically all day long. Those resorts work really, really well for that. That being said, I mean, they have really fun pools. When we went to All-Star Music, we were only there one night. The kids really, really wanted to swim in that pool because it had the 3 caballeros in the middle and like this little fountain that came off of it. The pool was really cute. And we got in like, I don't know, 9:15 or something like that from the theme park, and they're like, we want to go swimming. And I was like, you know what, let's do it, because I don't know when we're going to be back here. Put your swimsuits on, we're going to the pool for 20 minutes. And I'm really glad that we did, because we had a good time. The kids got to check out the pool. They liked that the ducks sprayed the water out and they could swim underneath it and that sort of thing. So it was a fun pool. So that being said, if you are looking for a resort that you basically can just use as your home base and you're going to be doing a theme park oriented trip where you're just going to be in the parks the majority of the day, All-Star Resorts really have everything you need. I mean, they've got the food courts, they've got the pools. It's no fuss, no muss, and really cute theming. For us, Art of Animation, the theme was just right on. Art of Animation, my kids love drawing. Like what they were doing at the front where you saw them like drawing on the easels, they were literally sit for hours at home and just do that. So we could have just made drawing like part of an event for the day. The one thing I'm kind of bummed that we miss is they have drawing lessons at Art of Animation. So I definitely want to stay there again in the future to let the kids do those drawing lessons, the animation lessons, because I think that's right up our alley. So definitely want to stay Art of Animation again. That being said, we're trying to, you know, check off the list and try a number of different resorts. So it may be a split stay to where we're at Art of Animation like a couple nights and then go somewhere else to try a new resort or something like that. So who knows what the future holds. But anyhow, out of the values, All-Star Movies and Music, really cute Which theme you prefer really depends on your family. Family's really into music and that sort of thing. Music would be a great resort. For us, movies, we really like the big characters, so that would probably be our pick out of those two. Already talked about sports. Art of Animation would probably be our favorite resort out of all the values, and then Pop Century is another one on our list. So I really avoid talking about Pop Century because I know there's people that really, really love this resort, and we have not stayed there yet. Pop Century is probably just going to be on our fill-in list, and I know there's a lot of people like typing furiously like now, like, it's the best resort ever, we love it, and we do need to try it out. But I feel like if I have to choose based on they're in the same location between Art of Animation and Pop Century, Art of Animation is the much better fit for our family. We're really not into that whole like decades theme thing, and like all the decades that are represented, I think for the most part, I don't want to get stuck in like the 60s or the 70s, like, you know, like, I don't know, that just the whole like decade theming just is really not our thing, which is fine. That's why there's different resorts for different people. For a lot of people, they're like, Pop Century is like the best. So we do need to try it. I can't get over the theming. So what that will probably also be is a one-day kind of fill-in. So sports and Pop Century, I'm not planning on doing any full trips there, just like full disclosure. But if I need like so like what happened on this last trip is I booked Art of Animation, and then everything was booked up on that Monday because it was Columbus Day and a lot of people were leaving out that day. So I had to just basically take what was available, and music was it. So I was like, great, we haven't stayed there yet, book us. So anyhow, that's probably how we'll use Pop Century as well. And I'm sorry, I will give, you know, like an opinion about it and review it once we stay there. I know a lot of people really, really love it. But for us, you know, the theme is just not our thing. So that's fine. There's themes for everyone at Disney. That's the great thing. The moderate resorts, Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs, and Riverside. We have stayed out of all those. We really like the resorts that have the little fifth person pull down bed. The kids love those. Caribbean Beach is probably my favorite theming, but I felt like the bus situation was better at Art of Animation than literally any other resort that we've stayed at. Now that could have just been us getting lucky. But at Caribbean Beach, I felt like buses were a struggle. So if we ever stay at Caribbean Beach again, which I really like that theming, so we probably will end up there at some point again, I would want to be in one of the preferred rooms. So you're by the pool, you're by the food, there's a bus stop there. It's like a marginal difference in price. It's really just based on whether it's available or not, which is the only reason why we didn't stay in a preferred room when we were there, is because it wasn't available. So now we know, and when we go back there, because I do see us going back there, I would want to be in a preferred room. We've stayed one night in Coronado Springs. Gorgeous, gorgeous grounds. The food was really good. We had lunch there, but you have to really like that type of food. I mean, I do, so it was great for me, but you have to be in the mood for that type of food. Coronado Springs, the rooms are really cute. We were in a room that just had 2 beds in it, but lots of great space to move around and, you know, put all your stuff in there. We're going to be at Coronado Springs when we go in February for Disney Social Media Moms, so we'll get to stay there again and be there for a little bit longer period of time, so that would be good. Port Orleans Riverside, no, we really like this resort. It was really pretty. I think that when we stay there again, one, we need a chance to check out the pool because we were so busy we never got to check out the pool. And also, I want to try a royal room, and I think that that will be right up our alley. And again, it goes back to the whole theming thing. Our family loves characters. We love themes. So I think the royal room will really work great for us. French Quarter is a really interesting one for me, and I'm hoping at some trip coming up, I can, you know, get over there to see it. We may use that as like a fill-in type of thing as well. So that, and then there's the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness. Now, I don't really know that, I don't know about those. I don't see us doing a full trip there either, but who knows what would happen. I feel like the Wilderness Lodge would be what we would pick over the cabins at this stage of the game. When the kids get older and they're like tweens or something like that, that might be a really fun trip. So moving on then, that leaves the deluxes. So I wanted to check as many of the kind of values and moderates off before I started moving in the deluxes to just kind of have a basis for comparison. I realized it would probably be difficult to well, some people bounce around between deluxe, moderate, I mean, I guess it really just depends on the type of trip you're trying to make. But out of the deluxes, the ones that really stand out to being a good fit for our family are Animal Kingdom Lodge, Beach Club, Polynesian. Bella really likes this resort. And in fact, whenever we got there, like her little face lit up on this past trip we went to Ida Ohana, and she was like, I'm so excited that we're here. I think she literally said like, this is the best day of my life or something like that. It was really cute. And so then that planted the seed for the future, like, okay, the Polynesian is gonna be one that we should stay at, you know, on one of the next few trips, because I think that that would be a good fit. And then on this list, I'm looking on a list over here on my computer, which is why I keep looking to the side. They also already have on the list Star Wars themed hotel coming soon. Our family is majorly into Star Wars. Once that opens, and when and if it ever has any availability, that will be on the list. And then also on this list are Disney World Swan and Dolphin Hotel. Really pretty hotels, but for us, we're very into the theming and, you know, being right there in the midst of everything. So I feel like those would be on future / maybe never trips. I don't know. So out of the deluxe resorts, I feel like Beach Club, Animal Kingdom, Polynesian would probably be our top picks. Also possibly the Contemporary, because just the whole idea of like being on the monorail, and my husband really likes that one. So maybe that for him. Also, I really like the Grand Floridian, but I feel like, I mean, you see plenty of kids there. It's Disney World, obviously. But I feel like I want them to be a little bit older for that type of trip, so they appreciate a little bit more. But on the flip side, I want them to still be young enough to where we could do the Princess Tea there. And I feel we haven't done that Princess Tea yet. I have had people ask. And I'm kind of waiting because I think I would like to kind of try to roll that into one trip possibly. So maybe around the time that they're 11, 12-ish. I don't know, before they age out of that tea basically. So that's what I've got to sit down. But they're still fairly young. So I feel like Animal Kingdom, Lodge, Beach Club, those sorts of things where it's like a trip that's either like really focused around the pool or really focused around the animals, or Polynesian where she's already expressed an interest in it. She loved that pool. She wants to go down that slide. So one of those would probably be one of my next picks if we're gonna go on a deluxe trip. So that's kind of what my thoughts are. Now I am trying to, you know, stay at a different resort each time, but that doesn't mean that we may not repeat, you know, one of our favorites. Like Caribbean Beach, we really liked it, but we'd like to try it staying in a preferred room. So, you know, that's the great thing about Disney World, is there's a lot of options. Out of all the resorts that we've stayed at, All-Star Movies, All-Star Music, Art of Animation, Coronado Springs, Caribbean Beach, Port Orleans, Riverside. I'd have to ask everyone in my family separately what their favorite was, but so far I think my favorite's been Art of Animation. And it's just that idea of like, we're really into a theme. We're very into a theme. But I could see as the kids get older, and we've already talked about, my husband and I, our trips changing from where it's a super park focused trip like you've seen us do the past 3 or 4 years or so, to as they get older, we're gonna be spending more time at the resort. We're gonna be spending more time at the pool. We want to explore more of what the resorts have to offer. And so as we kind of transition into that, especially I see like Beach Club, that trip we need to make sure it's warm enough for us to be in the pool most of the time, because they have an amazing pool there. And also walking over to the boardwalk and that sort of thing, taking, you know, advantage of all those kind of amenities that are available to the specific resort. Animal Kingdom Lodge, I mean, I see that trip, whenever we book that trip, us spending a majority of the time at the resort, because they have activities to do there. You can literally animal watch at your resort. And so it's just a matter of, I guess, figuring out what order to do them in, but those are the ones that stand out to me. Art of Animation has probably been my favorite so far. Out of the moderates, there's really pluses for all of them, and it really comes down to the theming that you like. Riverside felt very spread out, but that was probably because we were at the back of it. We were also at the back of Caribbean Beach. We were also at the back of Coronado. So honestly, the walk was about the same for all of them. Buses felt about the same at all of them to try to get a bus. The multiple bus stop thing, I'm kind of so on that. I don't know my thoughts on that. I really kind of prefer just the one bus stop, to be honest with you. But I would say probably Caribbean Beach would be the most preference with like the themes that I like, because I'm really into like beachy stuff. And I liked that drop down bed. So Coronado Springs is gorgeous, but the rooms that we've had there don't have the drop down bed, the little fifth bed. Like fifth person bed, a little mini kid one is the one I'm talking about. So that would probably be what bumps Caribbean Beach up into my top choice there. Overall though, I think so far is Art of Animation. So that's kind of my thoughts on the resorts. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and let me know if you are working through trying to stay at as many of the Walt Disney World resorts as possible, what your favorites have been and like what order you've tried to do them in, because it's really interesting because there's so many different possibilities and so many ways to do it, and you can even book different types of rooms at the same resort. So it's really interesting how it changes the feel of your trip and that sort of thing. So that is it for today, and the Disney vlogs are wrapping up. So depending on when the souvenir haul runs before or after this, they're winding down. That's about it. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be back to some regular type of vlogs coming up your way very soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day.